Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Red Reads. I'm your host, Mystery Red, and this is my disclaimer. This beta read in Concord is at the author's request. This video is for learning purposes. Today we're looking at a piece of original fiction. We are back with Dontrike, looking at No Name Shattered. We are on Chapter 1, 777 Years to Moonroof. The moon gets a sunroof. Interesting. Okay. So we are going to dive right in here. I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to read for 30 minutes. At the end of 30 minutes, I'll end. And if I'm not done, well, if I'm close to being done, I'll finish. But if I'm not done, then what I'll do is find a stopping spot and I will pick up there and do another video. I'm doing this because I'm reading for multiple people, but my personal time is very limited and my health is shaky in the winter. So in order for me to keep doing beta reads, I have had to make a decision to set a time limit on how long I read and dedicate one day a week to doing my reads. And I won't be able to work the rest of the week. I have too many other responsibilities in addition to managing my health. So given that, I'm going to just get right in here. I'm going to start our 30-minute timer and get started. 777 years passed since the power struggle that would later be known as the Sisters' Squabble. The battle had decided the future and direction of the kingdom known as Hedron, its capital built into the side of the mountain known as Precious, its peaks smooth like the facet of a perfectly cut stone. The kingdom may not have been possible if not for the treasures within the mountain, where many in Hedron do most of their work, mining and collecting the various precious stones and gems from. Thanks to the mountain's bounty, Hedron had become a prosperous kingdom. Near the southern coast, I'm pausing. Okay. So I gotta puzzle out my thoughts here. 777 years passed since the power struggle that would later become known as the Sisters' Squabble. The battle had decided the future and direction of the kingdom known as Hedron, its capital built into the side of the mountain known as Precious. Its peaks smooth like the facet of a perfectly cut stone. Okay, so we know what it is. 770 years since this battle that was in our prologue. The battle had decided the future and direction of Hedron. It's built into the side of a mountain known as Precious. Its peaks are smooth like the facet of a perfectly cut stone. The kingdom may not have been possible if not for the treasures within the mountain, where many in Hedron do most of their work, mining and collecting the various precious stones and gems. Thanks to the mountain's bounty, Hedron had become a prosperous kingdom. Okay, good. Near the southern coast of the kingdom is Offby, a small village with its center being a massive wispy pine tree, a kind of pine tree with soft white needles that feel like a lock of hair. Okay, it's going well so far. What I was noticing that it almost stopped me was we had kingdoms so many times so close together, but I think it's okay. Part of me wants to highlight it in case that continues as we go on through the chapter. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that. We don't have to do anything about it. It's an observation. I'm just noticing that it was frequent in close proximity. And I'm partly only bothering to highlight it, excuse me, because if it continues, we'll have already gone. We don't have to go back up here and highlight it again or go back and find it and backtrack. We don't want to backtrack. If we can avoid it, and it's just for you to quickly see how frequently it's used and how close proximity, and you can decide if that's something that you're okay with or not. I observed it, and we're going to move on. Come on, a young woman struggled to get the wooden cart over a hillside. A donut-sized halo floated above her white hair as she pushed against the wooden bar. Any moment of weakness and it would topple her backward. Cart tracks followed behind through the grass of the plains leading back to the nearby town of Offby, signified by the humongous wispy pine at its center. She put all she could to push, her feet unable to get proper traction in the damp grass. "Move, you piece of shit!" she screamed the moment her foot slipped in the grass, her body weight pushing the cart over her as it reached the top of the hill. She huffed, looking at the bottom of the cart, and crawled out from underneath it. I wonder if she's hurt. Finally, she huffed a sigh of relief. She removed the blanket, revealing tubes, crates marked explosive, and a myriad of small burlap sacks. She reached in, pulling out a pencil and a simple blue notebook titled Phi's Order Book. All right, the Merrilts need 3 dozen and 1 special Birthmas rocket, all in purple, silver, and green varieties. That will take me a bit of time. The silvers need 50 waterfall shells and number 4 and number 5 rockets. Colors don't matter. Simple enough. Barney needs 15, or is it 16 6-foot rows of firecrackers? She squinted at her writing. Geez, I need to write better. Guess I'll just go with 16 just to be safe. Phi read aloud another half-dozen requests as the wind blew gently, her white hair shifting in the breeze, the full moon's light reflecting off of it. Her hair was in a dozen braids, each ending in black charred tips. A sudden powerful gust of wind flipped the notebook pages. She gripped the pad, waiting for the wind to die down before continuing. And Queen Alana wants 500... Queen Alana! She yelled in shock, holding the notebook close to her face. She turned back to her cart, reaching for a lamp with a small translucent crystal inside. Opening the small door at the lantern's side, she reached in, touching the crystal. Okay, I'm going to pause for the echoes on reaching, just to observe them, that I notice them. Even though I think I just picked a different color. No, I didn't. Okay. Opening the small door at the lantern's side, she reached in, touching the crystal. So we have... She reached in, and we have inside, opening the small door at the lantern's side. So we have... I'm going to observe this, and the reason is I don't want any distractions for you from your reader. And this is petty, okay? So you can ignore it and move on if you choose. But I'm going to observe it so my brain permits me to continue to read. But there's an echo on the sounds here. It probably wouldn't be noticed to a person reading to themselves, but out loud, I did notice. I especially noticed because it was also paired in close proximity with an echo. Opening the small door at the lantern's side, she reached in, touching the crystal. Her halo glowed brightly before the crystal emanated orange light, and continued reading. This has to be a joke, right? I don't remember writing this order. She frantically flipped through the previous pages, rereading everything before returning to the Queen's order, noticing a note at the very bottom of the page. Phi, the Queen's head of the house, came by asking for a rush order for the remembrance. Hope it isn't a problem. This is a great opportunity for you. Remember, we have a draining soon. Love, Big Brochi. And then here we have Bruce. Brochi or Bruce. I'm not sure. Hang on. It's our first mentioning of this person, so I'm going to go with the Big Brochi. And I'm not going to even note it because it might not be wrong. I don't know. But the reason I'm thinking it might be is because you have Bruce here. So did you make Big Bruce, or was it deliberate or not? I don't know. I might find out as I keep reading. So we're going to put that there too. But I'm just going to note it in green that they were different. So I'm going to observe that I noticed they were different. And then, there was mention of her halo. So Phi is also an angel, is what I'm gathering. Okay. I hope that's right. That was my impression. We're going to keep going. Wait a minute. All right, so she read the note. Okay, Phi groaned with frustration. Okay, we don't want to say with frustration because she groaned, and so that imply. Oh my goodness, I need to be in suggesting. Hang on. Edit, undo. Suggesting. Okay, with frustration. I'm suggesting you omit that, and the reason being, it is implied through the action of groaning. Okay, Phi groaned, growing louder the longer she did it. Damn it, Bruce. I told you not to take orders, she sighed. Although I wouldn't have even dared to take an order from the Queen, and I need the money. But the remembrance is 2 weeks away. Slowly, she paced around the cart, contemplating, the grass beneath her blowing in the breeze. An order like this would put me at about halfway, and this could lead to more orders, she muttered, convincing herself. Yeah, it can work if I don't sleep for a few days. I'm going to observe that I have noted a couple of adverbs throughout since the beginning of this chapter, but I'm not mentioning them, but I want you to know that I am noticing them. I hadn't been mentioning them up till now because I don't find them disrupting from the way that you're using them. Okay, so I'm accepting them. Should they become frequent or in close proximity to each other or not be used well, then I'll try to point them out. But I just want you to know that I am seeing them, so you don't think that I'm missing them. Okay, all right, no time to be sitting around. Phi. Can't have celebrations without fireworks, and you can't say fireworks without Phi. The queen needs me, and it's going to be blank awesome, she proclaimed, reaching into her cart to release a few latches as the walls unfolded, each turning into a counter. Phi reached for the various supplies she needed. The moon moved from one horizon to the other while she made orders. She set up a few rockets on the ground far from her, fuses running from each to the cart. All right, test number 1, star cluster. She began writing in a red notebook titled Pyrotechnic Notes. Grabbing a fuse in one hand and a match, she quickly struck the match against her cart. Struck it. You could say struck it because you have match here, and then struck it, and I would know. But I'm just going to go ahead and highlight it for you to observe. And there's an adverb there, but I'm just going to keep going. Oh, no, I'm not, because there's another one right here. So this is what I'm going to do. Because we're still early on, I'm going to go back and just highlight the adverbs to point them out to you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to change them. I just want you to know I observed them, and it will help you quickly find them and see how you use them and how close they are in proximity to one another. So that's going to be my purpose. I'm going to highlight this in pink so I can find my spot, and we come back to it. And I'm just going to find them really quickly. Okay, I paused my timer and I went back and highlighted the adverbs just so that you can quickly observe them and then you can make decisions. All right, so we're going to get back into our read. Here we go. Grabbing a fuse in one hand and a match, can we scroll over? There we go. Okay. Grabbing a fuse in one hand and a match, she quickly struck the match against her cart and brought the flame to the fuse. It lit, burning quickly toward the stout cluster of rockets. Bringing her hands to her ears, she watched the fuse burn towards its destination. Bang! The first cluster headed straight for the sky, screeching its way as the payload exploded, sending small lights outward, leaving in the center a 5-pointed star as blue lights burst forth from a second series of explosions. Phi watched, methodical eye. Okay, I kind of agree with the suggestion there. Phi watched with a methodical eye. Pretty good. A bit more copper should make the blue pop more. She copied her thoughts into the red notebook. All right, test number 2, silver serpent, Phi noted, lighting another fuse. The flame burned energetically towards a tall, slender tube. She brought her hands to her ears. Boom! The rocket serpentined through the air, leaving a trail of silver sparks behind. The trail vanished before an umbrella of silver light filled the sky, mimicking the glittering stars above. Needs more aluminum for the tail end, and it looked more like a fountain than a serpent, but not bad. Keep this idea in the books for options for the customers, she said to herself as she wrote it down. All right, last test, then it's time to pack up. Queen's Rockets test. Solo finale, Phi proclaimed, picking up the last fuse, reaching behind to the box of matches. Her hand explored the box, unable to find one even when looking inside. Let's see, we're doing blue on our echoes. Okay. Are you kidding? She groaned, tossing it back in the cart. Guess I have no choice but to use magic. Looking back at the fuse, she brought her index finger to the waiting cord. Her halo glowed as a small flame suddenly sprung forth from the appendage. Just highlighting these, they're messing up my flow. Okay. The meeting of flame and fuse caused sparks to travel down the cord to the 6-foot-tall rocket at the other end. With every second, the flames grew closer to the waiting rocket. Phi felt the wind shift. The flame on the fuse moved, and the rocket tilted. Okay, so I wasn't going to do this one, but it's kind of a lot close together, so I'm going to go ahead and point it out so you can see it, and then you can make a decision about what you want to do. Honestly, these are not bad problems to have. Okay, we're going to keep going. Let's see. Like, these are easy fixes if you should choose to do so. So, barely able to react the moment the flame ended, she ran towards the rocket to catch it, but it was too late. It took off with a sharp whistle, speeding along the grassy plains, out of control. Her creation headed directly for her. See, like, I would keep this. Okay, so her creation headed directly for her. I want to be consistent and observe the adverb, but I'm saying that I would keep this instance of it. So don't think that I'm suggesting that you omit every single one that's highlighted. I'm trying to highlight them so you can find them quickly and you can make decisions about each one. All right. She ducked out of the way as it screeched past her head, watching it head towards town. Oh, no, she ran, knowing she couldn't catch up, but had to do something, stopping only after it took another sudden turn for the sky. Oh, thank. With ecstatic relief, she watched her creation fly higher and higher before it exploded. She marveled at her, okay, oop. Okay, hang on. Okay. And I think this is the wrong color. This is not the adverb color. This is supposed to be the blue one. Let me fix that really quick. Okay. With ecstatic relief, she watched her creation fly higher and higher before it exploded. See how I'm not pointing? I'm going to use this for example. This is the correct use. The way that you have used the same word twice in this proximity, this use of it is correct. All right. She marveled at her creation as the sky lit with celebration. The excitement on her face disappeared just as quickly as it came upon seeing the catastrophe behind the extravagant display. Uh-oh. What are we doing? Adverbs in the orange, I think. Cracks in the moon were visible seconds before the crust burst open in an explosion, leaving a giant gaping hole on the moon's surface. Okay, so you've got moon and moon. I would just say on its surface, but we're just going to highlight it and you can decide what you want to do. Okay. Fiery objects spewed forth, heading in all directions over the land. No, wait. Okay, so she didn't do that, did she? I mean, I don't think she did that. I think maybe the timing is just lining up with something else that's happening. Reader response there. Okay, we're going to keep going. Fi watched in silent horror as burning debris flew across the sky. One continued to grow larger, heading straight in her direction. She watched without blinking, its flames almost hypnotic, as a sudden gust of wind caused her balance to shift, snapping her out of the hypnotic stupor. Son of a! Her voice filled with hurry, realizing it was coming her way and needed to save everything she had done on this night. And she needed to save? Oh, but then you'll have two she's and you also have two hers. Son of a, her voice filled with hurry, realizing it was coming her way, and she needed to save everything she'd done on this night. Maybe. I'm just going to highlight it and say notes in video. We're going to go with a nice lavender for that because I'm not really sure. And you can just kind of like, so what parts I'm looking at is her, and then if I'm suggesting, I feel like something's missing, realizing it was coming her way, and this is where I'm thinking something is missing is right here. And I'm inclined to suggest you put she there, but then you've got two she's and two hers. And so I'm just like, you can do it. It'll work. You could also change this she to she apostrophe D. I'm just going to point out that I needed a word right here. And as I'm using it out, I'm seeing the other things you might want to consider as well. I'm going to point that out. I'm going to move on. Moving as fast as her legs would take her, she dashed for her work and threw supplies back into the cart. Frantically, she looked for her blanket, seeing the wind had blown it away like a feather, heading down the plains. Aw, I like blankets. I'd be sad if mine flew away. Screw it, she ducked. She ducked. She ducked under the cart's push bar. Move, darn it! She willed the wheels to turn, sprinting down the hill, heading anywhere that wasn't in the blazing ball's path. Wheels squeaked more and more the faster she ran, feeling like she may fly, unable to pry her eyes away from the flaming meteorite roaring its way through the sky parallel to her, directly above where she had been moments ago. The crashing object left a trail of smoke. Lingering flames dragged along its earthy weight, heading straight into a forest of wispy pines. A cacophony of snapping branches and broken trunks filled the air while thousands of white needles exploded into the sky moments before a thunderous quake shook the ground. She stumbled. The moment she fell, she curled into a ball as the cart raced over her. She felt the rumbling of the earth throughout her body for minutes before it stopped. Vi looked up cautiously, finding her cart safe before looking to the forest, seeing the destruction. Slowly, She picked herself up, touching her face and body to make sure she wasn't dead. Fear faded from her mind as curiosity quickly took its place. Her feet carried her towards the cataclysmic sight the woods had become. It wasn't long before she reached the edge of the destruction. The sounds of creaking trunks and falling branches filled the air. Needles and dirt created a dense cloud she could barely see through. What was clear was the path the meteor took by the path. Okay, hang on. Honestly, if your only problems are adverbs and the occasional adverb and the word echoes, then you're doing really, really well, okay? All right. What was clear was the path the meteor took by the path of broken trunks. Standing at the edge of the forest, Vi hesitated. Her mind warned her not to go in, but she didn't listen, far too interested in whatever landed. She took her first steps into the opaque cloud. Can barely see a thing, she squinted, trying to see whatever was left of what had landed, if anything at all. Cautiously, she moved through the forest. Stepping over slivers of formerly tall, proud trees on the path the object had carved. Her heartbeat was a drum in her ears. I wonder if it should be one word. I think that should be one word. Her heartbeat was a drum in her ears, pounding with fear and anxiety the moment she saw an odd shape in the middle of the damage. Cautiously, she walked around it, unable to ascertain what it could be. It stood taller than her, easily by a few feet, staying perfectly still. What has she come upon? Dust had begun to settle as the shape took on a bit of definition. A sudden, painful groan emanated from the mysterious silhouette. Vi jumped back, startled by the unexpected noise coming from the large lump. I think my cat might be trying to come in. Okay. I think I'm here. We're going to back up just a bit. Yeah, we got a sudden, painful groan emanated from the mysterious silhouette. We're going to back up to right here and go forward. That was my cat. It is cold outside. I couldn't blame him. Vi jumped back, startled by the unexpected noise coming from the large lump. Is anyone there? She asked to who or even what had made the guttural noise. Silently, she listened for the sound. I kind of think she's probably silent if she's listening, so I don't know if we need the adverb there. Hello? Another painful groan cut through the sounds of the forest. Hello? Are you hurt? Contemplating, just a thought. I guess this character hasn't, I'm assuming it's the character that's going to be being introduced, but they haven't spoken yet. So I think it's fine to be, I was contemplating whether or not it should be separate, like its own paragraph, apart from Vi's text. Does that make sense? Like, Vi jumped back, startled by the unexpected noise coming from the large lump. Is anyone there? She asked to who or what even had made the guttural noise. Silently, she listened for the sound. Hello? Another painful groan cut through the sounds of the forest. I almost want this to be its own paragraph. Yeah, to kind of set it apart. Another painful groan cut through the sounds of the forest. Hello? Are you hurt? Now sure someone was there. She moved closer. Try to stay still. I'm sure the guard will be here shortly. I'll find you. I'm going to observe this adverb. I'm more inclined to leave adverbs in text because we use them when we speak. So but I'm still going to observe it in case we use the same one again in a close proximity. Dirt, polluted air made it difficult to breathe. She pulled her shirt over her nose and mouth. Come on, stay with me. Another moan escaped them. The sound was practically right next to her. She turned to locate its source. So she sees a lump, though. What does this lump look like? I'm almost there. Oh, we need a space. The wind picked up, throwing dirt and dust into her face. Granular particles scratched her eye. She instinctively shut them, walking into something solid, and stumbled backwards on her behind. Walked into something solid and stumbled backwards on her behind. This line right here, this line right here is a little bit wordy. Granular particles scratched her eye. Instinctively, she shut them, walking into something solid. She stumbled backwards on her behind. I don't know. I'm going to suggest slight rewording. It's just a little bit wordy, and I mean that in the sense that it's not reading smoothly. So I'm going to say notes and video is what I'm going to do. Okay. Let me see if I can observe where Granular particles scratched her eye. She instinctively shut them, walking into something. I kind of initially wanted that to be walked into something solid, then stumbled on her behind. If she's stumbling on her bottom, she's stumbling backwards, okay? She stumbled on her behind. It implies backwards, and so this becomes redundant, so I would cut that. So when a sentence reads awkwardly, I want to look at the sentence and break down where it is that it's not working. And then I can usually figure out what to do about it. And so hopefully that helps. Blank out, she hissed at the pain in her eyes, trying her best to rub it away. Are you all right? A monotone voice of a man came from in front of her. Let me help you up. Yeah, this dirt got in my eyes. Thanks. She squinted in pain. Okay, I wouldn't say, oh gosh, whenever we say in pain or in agony or in happiness or whatever, sometimes it comes off as telling. I kind of want to show the pain. She's squinting and maybe rubbing her eye would show, or holding her hand to her eye would show her pain in lieu of saying in pain. His figure looked blurry, barely more than a silhouette, except for his right hand and the small, dark, curved line on the back of it. Grasping it, she could feel calluses on his palms before being pulled to her feet. Thanks. Are you inch? She heard the sounds of clanging metal in the distance. That must be the guard. Can you believe what happened to the moon? That was intense. The man's hand slipped away. The sounds of sticks and twigs snapping come soon after. She turned her head, barely able to see him as he ran between the wispy pines. Wait, hold on. They can help you? Her words slowed by the speed of the man. Already 100 feet away before she could finish the sentence, he disappeared between the trees. In disbelief and pain, she rubbed her eyes. Yeah, you definitely want to get rid of that pain, that in pain above, because you've got and pain down here. And you definitely don't want them to be, yeah, it's like right there. I wouldn't keep both for sure. In disbelief and pain, she rubbed her eyes. Also, I suggested you having her showing her pain by rubbing her eyes. Don't have her do it down here. If you choose to put it up here, do one or the other. I don't want to create an echo for you. Okay. Let's get back on. Back to go. Here we go. Silently, she stood as the sounds of armor grew close, wondering what had just happened. The dust cleared. The enormous silhouette she had first seen became clear. Nothing more than a boulder with a large crack running down the center. The sounds of shouting from afar caught Fi's attention, snapping her back to the current situation. She was the only one standing in the middle of all the destruction. I better get out of here. They may think the rocket caused this, she said, walking away from the destruction. Wait, do we have destruction? Did we just say destruction? Why am I? Yes. Oh, yes, we did. Okay, so we've got oh, hang on. I'm having a cat problem. He's trying to open a door and release my bunny. I'm going to pause. Okay, let's see. Where was I? So the current, she was destruction. Did I highlight that one? No, I did not. Okay. All right. I better get out of here. They may think the rocket caused this, she said, walking away from the destruction. Thoughts of what had happened swirled in her mind, interrupting the moment she heard a man's voice. Interrupted the moment she heard a man's voice. Okay. Captain, we found one. Fi turned her head, finding two guards standing barely 20 feet away. Let's see. Okay, so I want to observe this too. This is probably a good thing that I highlighted the adverbs, because you can choose, sometimes you're going to use them, especially when you're trying to be very specific and you want that. But by highlighting them and observing them, we can see which ones we use repeatedly. So that can also help you identify what we'd call a crutch, where you might use a word again and again, or even a phrase that you didn't realize you were using. I used gently squeezed at least 10 times or more throughout an entire story once. And when I reread it, I started cringing. Oh my gosh. Every time I'd read gently squeezed, I'm like, why? How did this happen? And I was so glad that I'd found it and was able to, well, it's probably there. I tried to take some of them out, but I left a couple it just made sure there was like at least a chapter's distance between them. But then I was rereading one of my other works and found it there too. So there was a crutch phrase for me. I'm not really seeing a crutch phrase yet for you, but at the same time I am seeing barely, barely, barely. So you are using the same one quite a bit. Silently has been used numerous times. Here's barely again. So it can help you to see. There's quickly. I think we use that one a lot. Quickly again. You can see if you're using the same one. Quickly again. Barely again. Quickly again. And quickly. We definitely probably would not want to use them that many times in one chapter. So here we are at chapter 1, 2. This is a perfect spot for me to break and come back, and I have 30 seconds. Nope, I'm at 30 minutes. So it says here I have 35 seconds left on my alarm. But this is the perfect spot for me to highlight and come back and do our next video. This read really well for you. These are super simple, easy things, and there was like 2 sentences to slightly address. Not bad at all. Very good. Very interesting. I'm curious about what's happening next. I like Phi. Nice way to open up there. Okay, so we're going to stop here and I will do a new video for chapter 1-2. I'll see you guys next time on Mystery Red Reads.